thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Irado, and with me, as always, is a guy who can swallow a quarter and have it result in 2 dimes and a nickel, Mike Van de Bogart.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you once again to all of our loyal listeners for tuning in. Just a couple of updates and announcements before we get going here. First, I'd like to give some new Patreon shout-outs to John McDonald, Amy Schlesener, probably butchered that, and Brittani Howell. So thank you for supporting the show.
Thank you, guys. That is awesome of you.
If you watch us on YouTube, every episode you'll see improvements in the quality and the equipment, and that is all directly because of you. So
absolutely.
And if you're a listener and you're not supporting the show yet but would like to, you can also support us on YouTube memberships or premium subscriptions on Apple, or buying swag on our various stores. If you'd like to call the show and leave a voicemail, you can call 208-391-6913. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to our new intern, Kim Turn.
Our Kim Turn.
She helped a lot on the research of this episode, so thank you, Kim. And finally, we've been getting a lot of comments on listeners having issues with Spotify, and just want to clarify that there's known problems with their app where it'll cause the audio to skip or the voice, to speed up when you're listening. It's happened to me when I've listened to other podcasts. The best thing you do is just restart the app. So we always check our episodes so we upload them. So it's not an issue from the source. So just, double check. There's also a speed up button in the app that sometimes you can bump with your fingers. So just make sure.
Oh, yeah. There is a setting where you can speed it up if you want them to talk like 1.5 times faster.
Yeah. So with that said, Joe, do you have any other updates?
No, just want to reiterate, it's Kim Turn's first episode. I think she did a pretty good job. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. And that's pretty much it. So, all right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore Locations Unknown. With over 52 million acres, the U.S. National Park System is home to some of the most breathtaking natural features on the planet. Tens of millions enjoy these parks every year. Join us this week for an installment of National Park Cold Cases where we explore Olympic National Park. So this week, we're covering Olympic National Park, which is located in Washington State. It was established on June 29th, 1938, and sees roughly 2.43 million visitors per year, and that was taken in 2022, so we're starting to get some more up-to-date numbers post-COVID. So it's pretty high numbers for post-COVID.
It's a super cool park. I've hiked it. I've camped out for multiple nights right on the beach. It's definitely a park worth going to if you're in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I've never done it, so I got to go check it out. I've heard very good things about it.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So here's some interesting facts about Olympic National Park. Lake Crescent is so clear you can see 60 feet down. which is very good. If you're a diver, 60-foot visibility is very good.
Yeah, that's a very clean lake.
Absolutely. Olympic Mountain was named... Olympus Mountain, was named by a British sea captain in 1788, 14 years after the park was originally recorded by a non-native. British sea captain John Mears looked at the mountain peak and commented that it was suited for the gods. Because of this, he named it Olympus after the home of the gods in Greek mythology. Hurricane Ridge has a night sky program because 95% of Olympic National Park is wilderness. The park has a great place to experience natural darkness. Hurricane Ridge astronomy program lets you clearly see the Milky Way and learn about astronomy. So it's probably one of those like dark spots in the country.
Yeah, it's when we were out on the beach, you could see the disk of the Milky Way.
Like real clear, because you can see it on a real good night here, but it's like very faint. There's like thousands of stars.
Only other time I've seen it that like vivid in the sky was when I was in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's fantastic.
You don't see that like anywhere in the lower 48, really.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's something fun. You can adopt a fish in Olympic National Park. The Adopt a Fish radio tracking project lets visitors track fish. This is to help see where salmon go after the removal of the dam. The funding for the project is made possible by the Washington's National Park Fund.
Interesting.
How long do fish live?
Don't salmon die after they spawn?
I have no idea. And now you're in trouble.
Yeah. I'll look it up.
Even if you're right, you're in trouble.
Why am I in trouble?
Because somebody will think you're wrong and then be mad at you and you're in trouble. So you look that up and I'll keep going. There are 6 unique environments classified in the park: coastal forest, lowland forest, temperate rainforest, mountain forest, subalpine forest, and alpine forest. So Olympic National Park has one of the only temperate rainforests in the world.
I was right.
You were right.
Pacific salmon die after spawning, and their bodies provide nutrients for the freshwater ecosystem. Atlantic salmon often survive after spawning.
So, okay. All right.
So it depends on where you are.
Yeah, okay.
So
that stinks. So you're tracking your fish, and then your beacon just stops. Yeah. And it's like, why isn't the fish moving, Mom? And like, well, he's resting for the rest of his life.
He's having the big rest.
Yes, absolutely. The park is also known for tide pools, not Tide Pods, tide pools, so don't try and eat them. You can find sea urchins, sea stars, anemones, barnacles, limpets, mussels, snails, hermit crabs, shore crabs, sand crabs, sculpin, sand dollars, and sea slaters in the tide pools. So I know how anemones is supposed to be said. Yeah. I just can't. That's one of those.
It's like with me. What's the word I can't say?
I don't know, Mike. What is it?
I don't want to say it.
Well, we found out that you can say it both ways technically, so you're not wrong.
I know.
It just sounds dumb.
Oh.
I literally can't remember right now. I'd be saying it right now. I can't remember what the word is.
Well, it'll be my little secret.
Okay, I'll remember it eventually.
It starts with a D.
What is it?
It's when you're confused.
Disorientated. Yeah, that's how you say it's disoriented.
Yeah.
I was going to say discombobulated because the Milwaukee airport, we have a recombobulation area.
Yes.
That's a fun fact about Milwaukee. There's literally after the security, there's a sign that says recombobulation area.
Yeah.
So we got some humor up here in the Midwest.
We do.
The reason Olympic National Park exists as a national park is because of school children. President Roosevelt visited the territory, and 3,000 children held up banners that said, "Please, Mr. President, we children need your help. Give us our Olympic National Park."
That's cool. I had no clue.
Yep, neither did I. So that's good.
Yeah.
Good for the kids. They know what's up. So according to our friends at the Köppen Climate Classification System, we should have like a button where it plays like a song, like their theme song. Like, I don't know, like it'd be like really an epic, like Olympic style thing.
Yeah.
Olympic National Park encompasses 2 classifications: a temperate oceanic climate in the western half and a warm summer Mediterranean climate in the eastern half. So we're going to go over just the different seasons and the temperature ranges here. So in spring, the range is from 35 to 60 degrees and is quite wet and mild. In summer, Your daytime temperatures are between 65 and 80 degrees, while nighttime sits at around 50 degrees. Although it is drier, there are still rainstorms. Fall, temperatures range from 35 to 60 degrees, and the weather becomes quite wet. Fog appears in the night and disappears by midday. In winter, temperatures are usually in the 40s during the day and 20 to 30 during the night. It doesn't snow super often and does not last long when it does. So that's pretty unique that it gets that cold, but they just have no precipitation.
It's just, it's just a very temperate location. The whole time we were there, it was kind of just, we were there in the late summer, but it was always just kind of damp, and it was cool, but I can see how it doesn't snow very often.
Okay, so yeah, I guess when it does snow, if it's in the 40s, it'll just melt.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not getting a lot. So, okay, well, fine. Fine then. It doesn't need the snow water.
Go to Mount Rainier if you want snow.
Yeah.
That's not that far away from there.
Nah, that's all right. Sometimes it's nice to not be in snow.
It is.
So we'll talk a little bit about the terrain. The coastal portion of the park is rugged, sandy, and the beach along with a strip of adjacent forest. It is 60 miles long, but just a few miles wide, with native communities at the mouth of the two rivers. Within the center of Olympic National Park rise the Olympic Mountains, which sides and ridge lines are topped with massive ancient glaciers. The mountains themselves are products of accretionary wedge uplifting related to the Juan de Fuca Plate subsection zone. Subduction. I've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah. We'll cut Joe some slack.
Cut me some slack. I went to Electric Forest, and then I had a work conference immediately after. So I'm exhausted. I got back today. The geologic composition is a curious melange of basaltic and oceanic sedimentary rock. The western half of the range is dominated by the peak of Mount Olympus, which rises to 7,965 feet. That is not that high.
No.
I thought it would have been higher.
No, the mountains in this park aren't like what we're used to in Colorado or...
So that's cool. You can just summit mountains fairly easily unless they're super aggressive.
Yeah.
So Mount Olympus receives a large amount of snow and consequently has the greatest glaciation of any non-volcanic peak in the contiguous United States outside of the North Cascades. It has several glaciers, the largest of which is the Hoh Glacier at 3.6 miles in length. Looking to the east, the range becomes much drier due to the rain shadow of the western mountains. Here, there are numerous high peaks and craggy ridges. The tallest summit of the area is Mount Deception at 7,788 feet. I wonder if it looks taller than it is.
Probably.
Just bad dad jokes. The western side of the park is mantled by temperate rainforest, including the Hoh Rainforest and the Quinault Rainforest, or Quinault, which receive an annual precipitation of over 12 feet. Holy cow, making this perhaps the wettest area in the continental United States.
A lot of rain.
That's a significant amount of rain.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
12 feet.
Yeah. Valleys on the eastern side of the park also have notable old-growth forests, but climate is notably drier. So we're going to talk about a few of the animals that are in the area. There are black bear, cougars, Roosevelt elk, wolves, otters, sea lions, and porcupines.
Now watch out for those otters.
Yes. Well, they could push you into a porcupine, and then you'd fall over down a hill and then be scratched by a cougar and eaten by a black bear.
There you go.
So there you go. To avoid that, we're going to go over some tips about hiking. So these are just a few tips that will help you go through a successful hike in Olympic. So the weather in Olympic is variable and unpredictable. No matter the time of year, it is common for different weather conditions to exist within the park at the same time. Even in the summer, temperatures may vary from 10 to 20 degrees, especially along the coast and higher elevations. Tides are a big thing. You said you're on the beach, so yeah. I'm sure you know about this one.
Yep. Yeah, we got tide charts before we set out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are there some pretty gnarly areas?
There's spots if you walk across it at low tide and wait, you can't get back out. You're stuck until the tide goes down again.
Oh, we're going to have to talk about that. I'll look up some of the maps when you're talking about it. Several points along the coast are only passable at low tide, as you said. Always carry a tide chart. Look at Mike, you're so prepared. This is why you're here and not a subject of this show.
Yeah.
So
hopefully
that's
it stays that way.
Yeah. They're available at the Visitor Center and the Coastal Ranger Station, so you have no excuse because you can go to the park and pick them up there.
They're free.
And you don't even have to buy them.
No.
There you go. Zero excuse to not have a Tide chart. Even if you don't go on the beach, just grab one because they probably sound cool.
It's good to talk to the rangers for a few minutes. Just if you're not familiar with hiking in a coastal region, they'll fill you in on all these hazards and how to avoid.
Think about it this way: even if you are familiar of them, they're going to give you recent knowledge. Because guess what? The park is outside, and outside changes.
Yes.
Strong winds or storms can significantly elevate tides and create hazardous conditions. Be attentive to your surroundings and never underestimate the power of the Pacific Ocean. So a big thing, it sounds like, is the ocean is very dangerous there.
It is. It is. But we didn't go swimming when we were there. It was pretty cold. But you just got to carry your tide chart. You'll be fine.
There you go. There you go, people. It's not that bad if you follow directions.
Yes.
River crossings. We talk about this a lot, but there's always new listeners in the show because we set a new record for the month already.
Yeah.
Most major stream crossings are bridged, but not all. High water or bridge damage can also mean encountering unexpected or difficult stream crossings. You want to unbuckle your waist belt of your pack and loosen the shoulder straps. You do not want to be attached to anything if you happen to slip or lose your footing.
Yeah.
Carry a pair of sandals or athletic shoes for wading across the river or creeks rather than crossing in bare feet. I know everyone hates this, but it's the best camp shoe and water shoe, Crocs.
Yeah.
Fine. They look dumb, and some of you might like them, and now you're going to be mad. But legitimately, they weigh nothing.
Yeah.
They weigh absolutely nothing. You attach them to the outside of your pack. They take up no space. They're cheap. And then they have that, sport mode that you can put on behind your shoe.
Yeah.
So they stay on pretty good when you're crossing across water. Obviously, they're not perfect, but they're pretty good. So
and I
prefer those.
I have crossed rivers barefoot and have destroyed my feet in the process. So do not do that.
100%. And then I'm going to say one more thing for Crocs because it's funny.
We're not sponsored by them.
We're not sponsored
by Crocs. If you're listening,
we should. Every time I go with people that hate Crocs, by the end of a camping trip, they buy Crocs.
Yeah.
That's how good they are because I let them use them. When you've been hiking all day in boots and your feet are just nasty, you can take all your socks and shoes off, put Crocs on. They have the holes. You get airflow.
Yep.
It's just perfect camp shoe, perfect water shoe for hiking because of the weight. So don't knock Crocs for that. If you hate them, just don't wear them when you're not camping. That's it.
Just wear them in your house.
Yeah, you're dirty when you're camping. It doesn't matter. Looks don't matter when you're camping. Unless you're one of those Fjall Raven people that spend all that money. You'll probably get like gold Crocs or something.
There you go,
yeah, get some nice
velvet Crocs.
Yeah, get some ridiculous ones. Then you'll be fine. Use a walking stick or lock arms with a buddy for balance. You want to cross diagonally, yielding to the currents. You kind of want to go on an angle because it's a lot easier than getting sideswiped by the water constantly.
And in a general rule of thumb, you really don't want to try crossing a river by foot if it's, what would you say, higher than shin height? Yeah,
because it's you get waves sometimes, and it's water so
the
powerful.
Are a lot stronger than you think. You might think like, oh, it's only up to my knees. That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water hitting you. It's like someone constantly trying to push you over. And if you're carrying your pack,
now I mean, if it's like
walking all day,
if it's like a lazy river where it's barely moving.
Yeah, if it's steady water.
Okay.
Yeah. We've swam across those.
Yeah.
So like a good example is when there's not a flash flood in Zion National Park.
Yeah.
If you're doing the Narrows, you have to literally swim with your bag.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. It's stagnant water.
Yeah.
So it's any moving water.
It was cold.
Yes, it was extremely cold. But that was such a fun trip.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I'd love to go back.
Yes.
To Zion again.
Yeah, we definitely should because we got hit with crazy weather and we couldn't do a lot of stuff. All those people died.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's a fun fact. We should talk about this in Patron too. Sign up if you want to hear the full story. But we were in the park when they experienced the most death in a single day in the park.
Yeah.
And it was in the area we were in earlier, but we followed its instructions. Knew flash flooding was possible, and we got out several hours before it was expected. And
we were the last permitted group that got in there before they. Once you have a permit, the National Park Service legally can't deny you entry. But we were the last group that they were allowing, new permits to. And then we were there. We were in there for 2 nights, I believe. And then
hold on. there's more to the story,
Yeah.
subscribe to Patron. You'll hear the
Yeah,
rest of
there
it.
you go.
There we go. Because there's some really cool information that I'm going to reveal and talk
Yeah.
about that you can actually go through those narrows while it's flash flooding, but after a certain point, which we will never do, but it's possible. Remember, we talked to a guy who did it, and it's like perfectly safe. So these people, I think, tried doing it, did it wrong, and you have to subscribe to Patreon to learn more. All right, we're going to move on now.
Yes.
If you become lost, turn to your 10 essentials, stay calm, and think through the situation. Staying calm is like one of the biggest ones.
It's a big one. And it's probably the hardest one to do when you're lost, because everyone's first inclination is to kind of panic.
100%.
Especially if you listen to podcasts like this, you're going to panic. Unless you...
Well, if you listen to podcasts like this, you shouldn't get lost in the first place.
No.
But no, I totally agree. Having strong mental fortitude in that situation and understanding
Just
that...
a clear head, because if you get lost, sit down for 10 minutes and just like do some breathing exercises, or do some yoga, or anything to kind of calm down, clear your head, and then you can start thinking of, what am I going to do?
Yeah, if you're not injured, you have a little time to think.
Yes.
It's unless you're running from a bear or something.
Unless you're in like Death Valley or some really inhospitable park, you're not going to die in 24 hours. You have time. In most of these parks, if you follow the rules of what to do when you're lost, you'll be found.
Yep, 100%. Totally
Yes.
agree. So you want to stay put. You'll be found sooner. So while you're thinking, think about not moving. Especially if you told someone where you were and you followed the instructions.
Or if you're in a location that's not the greatest, find somewhere that provides a little bit of shelter, and but once you find that spot, stay put.
Shelter, some access to open air too, because if they're going to fly over, they want to see you.
Yeah.
Stay warm and dry. If you are tempted to follow a river or creek, remember that these are often the most dangerous routes in the Olympics. You want to create a sign visible from air, so lay out brightly colored clothing. In a forest clearing, use a signal mirror, lots of different things. So you want to make your area look not natural. So,
But also be mindful, if you're in a park that is at a high fire danger, even though you're lost, you may not want to start a signal fire, because you could end up creating an even bigger problem for yourself.
I didn't even say signal fire. So,
Well, everybody's first thought is, I'm going to create a fire, lots of smoke, they'll see me.
yeah.
But remember the Brandon Day and Gina episode?
Yes.
They almost got killed by a fire
Yeah.
that they started. So
Yes, so be cognizant of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you're panicking, maybe don't start a fire
yeah,
unless you know you can control it. So the biggest thing is though, like what's not in nature, right angles, things like straight lines, like things that are unnatural. So if you can take logs and lay them out, maybe they're not brightly colored, but if you're...
bring a whistle.
Yes, a whistle is a good one, but it just make things that people would see, be like, hey, that's not nature. Someone did that.
I
Let's
always
go look at
have
that.
something really bright in my pack, like a neon yellow towel or something that I could like lay out on the ground.
Yeah, most of my hiking clothes are yellow, red.
Yeah.
Red's not that great, but blue,
I always think about
yellow.
like, what if I have a clearing near me and there's a helicopter going by, someone will see a bright neon towel laying in
absolutely.
the grass.
And now they make the ultra reflective clothing.
Yeah.
So if they're going at night and you shine a light on it, you just like explode with light.
Yeah.
You could get stuff like that. So there's tons of ways that you can be spotted. So let's talk about the overall difficulty of Olympic National Park. According to our friends at All Trails, there are 179 trails in the park. 36 of them are classified as easy, 26 as medium, and 102 as hard. There's a lot of hard trails there. One of the most difficult trails in the Mount Storm is the Mount Storm King Trail. Mount Storm King is a steep, partially unmarked, and has switchback trails through dense trees. Later on the trail requires a hiker to use ropes to get up, which may seem daunting and in slippery weather. Or for less experienced hikers, at the top of the hike, the weather tends to get very windy without tree cover. So that just sounds... the views better be great, because that just sounds completely pointless unless the view's amazing.
Yeah.
Or you just say you want to do it. Now, the easiest trail is the Madison Falls Trail. I like that you put this in here. The trail is only 0.2 miles long. It's paved, is wheelchair accessible, and pet friendly. So that one's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And you get to go see a waterfall at the end of it. So, Mike, let's talk about our first case.
So our first subject is Bryan Lee Johnston. He went missing August 28th of 2013. His remains have not been found. And real quickly, I'm
not sharing yet.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll let you know if I'm ever sharing.
Gotcha.
It's just on you right now.
Oh, okay. So his remains were never found. He was a male. He was 71 at the time of his disappearance. He was 5'10". He had long white hair, worn in a ponytail. Gear he was last seen in is blue jeans and a black day pack. Personality, according to friends and family, he was very quiet and almost bordering on a loner, which is not a bad term. It's just some people are just, quiet by nature. So he was definitely that type of person. He was retired, but used to be an engineer for Seattle City and Light. And he spent his retirement hiking, doing photography, and going on cruises with his wife. So it sounds like he had a pretty fun retirement. I mean, most of us would love to retire and still be healthy enough to hike.
Cruises and hiking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty great, Mike.
Yeah. So he spent his entire life in the area, and family had said that he showed no intention of wanting to leave. So experience in the wilderness, he had been hiking since he was a child. He had been a Cub Scout and made it all the way to Eagle Scout and had been hiking his whole life. So very, experienced in the sense that he's not new to hiking. We don't have any information if he's specifically hiked in this area, but based on the fact that he was born and lived here his whole life, I'm guessing that he's probably hiked in this area before. Lists a couple people that were involved in this case. So we got Susan Johnston, his wife, Ginny Longfellow, an older sister, and Kelly Hubbard was his daughter. So jumping right into timeline, Bryan Johnston had planned to do a 2 or 3 day hike on the Ozette Loop Trail in Olympic National Park. He got up early on the morning of August 22nd, 2013, at his home in the Ballard district of Seattle and left a note for his sleeping wife that he was heading off for a hike. On his way to the park, he did stop at a couple local businesses before parking in the Ozette Ranger Station parking lot. Now, it's believed that he left his truck and went off to start his hike on this trail, but there is no evidence of where he actually went.
Okay, so they don't know exactly where he was. So here's Ozette Lake. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing the loop. I was trying to search for the loop, and it doesn't.
That's the ranger station.
Where?
Right there.
Like where the roads are right here?
Yeah, maybe there, okay. Or I don't know. I don't see any buildings.
Yeah.
We got a guy looking in.
Studio window time. All right. Well, yeah, there's a lot of roads going up there, or maybe where. Oh, here it is, Ozette Ranger Station. Okay, so it's at the north end of Ozette Lake.
Yeah, so that's where he parked.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at this big parking lot right here.
Yeah,
there we go. Okay, so he said, was he at the Ozette campground?
We do not know. He was planning just to do. It sounds like a 2 or 3 day hike, so it didn't sound like he was actually going to camp at the campground.
I'm gonna do a quick ruler and just do like a real rough,
as the crow flies.
Yeah, like a box around this. Okay, so 22 miles, and could be more.
It looks like trails like right on the lake.
That seems like that you could go around this lake in 2 days. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
For an average hiker.
It looks like if you zoom in, there are campsites at various spots around the lake. Like
yeah, there was. I saw one popping up. Let me get back here. Yeah, Erickson Bay Camp. Okay, there's different campgrounds along there. Let's see if there's anything else.
Looked like there's something on the south end.
Yeah, it's possible. There's probably a lot more in Google Maps. Just doesn't have it because there's like dirt roads and stuff. Like this. Oh, that's a river.
And in Olympic, at least when we were there, you could. It was one of those parks where they did allow, with a backcountry permit, you could go anywhere and camp.
Oh, so it was like BLM land?
No, yeah, I mean,
like they didn't have designated sites.
They do,
But
like,
you could go off those sites?
Yeah, like we had backcountry permits to camp on the beach.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess you're not going to really destroy too much habitat on sand.
No.
Like, unless you're like digging it out.
There were these really
problems.
funny bugs every night when we set up our campfire they looked like little ants, but they moved really fast and they just jumped into the fire.
Oh, like they're attracted to the light?
Attracted to the light by the hundreds. We'd be sitting there and just watch them, like they'd run across the sand and like jump into the fire.
All right, I'm back on you because I'm going to look up this ant. Okay. And I'm going to see if I can find. I got a cool button. I can just go to YouTube with one hit of a button. I should have probably left it on just because it makes me happy. I'm going to look it up.
All right, well, getting back to the timeline here. So, like I said, he parked at that park ranger station parking lot, but no one really knows for sure if he actually got out on the trail. So it is now Wednesday, August 28th of 2013, and Brian's wife and stepchildren reported him missing to Olympic National Park rangers when he didn't return from his hike. So like we said, he left on Thursday, August 22nd of 2013, and now it's August 28th. So they waited quite a few days. So 2 or 3 days for hiking before they contacted park rangers. So the search really gets going on August 29th of 2013. So park spokesman Barb Maines. Now, this is really funny because we're doing 3 cases in Olympic. This lady was also the park spokesman back in like 97.
Oh, so she like covered.
She's been with the park for like all 30 years, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh.
So
good for her.
Yeah. So park spokesman Barb Maines said, Bryan Johnston of Seattle was reported overdue Wednesday when he failed to return from a planned 2 or 3 day trip to Olympic National Park. This morning, 6 ground search teams and 2 search dog teams are continuing the search begun on Wednesday. So the search actually really kind of started off probably Wednesday night. A team is also searching Lake Ozette in a boat. His truck was found parked at the Ozette trailhead, and inside rangers found receipts from several Port Angeles businesses dated August 22nd of 2013, the day he left his Ballard home. The ground search was called off with no clues. Brian's family said he didn't plan to disappear, but was described as a quiet man. When last seen, he was wearing blue jeans and carrying a black day pack. In all, at least 50 park rangers, along with search teams from Cle-Elum, Grays Harbor, and Pierce counties, searched for Johnston for 3 days in and around the Ozette area, but found no sign of him. Rangers continued to investigate the case even after it was closed by talking to people who may have seen him out on the trail. And this is, very common in a lot of these disappearances. They handed out photos of him to, hikers that had backcountry permits for the North Coast and Ozette area. And
we've talked about that a lot of times.
Yeah. So now we are going to jump ahead to 2017. So
look at this. Ozette Triangle Trail does not go around the lake. I'm on all trails right now. This is why they need to sponsor us, because we'll always just use this.
Yeah.
It does like a Bermuda Triangle dealie and goes along the ocean. So I got the screen on. If you're watching the video, you can kind of see we are looking at Ozette Lake here, and it goes out. I wonder if it goes to Sand Point. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. It goes like kind of straight out down Sand Point and back to Ozette.
Interesting.
All right, that's neat. I'll see if there's another Ozette trail just in case, because it could be multiple.
So, like I said, jumping ahead to 2017 now, according to one of his family members, one of his boots was found by a hiker on the trail he went missing on and was turned into authorities. But unfortunately, nothing has turned up since, and Brian's disappearance remains a mystery. So before we close out this case and go into quick theories here, we've got a few statements from family members. So his older sister, Ginny, said she thought that Bryan may have decided to check out other hiking areas before trying out the Ozette Loop Trail. So there you go. Did you find?
This is the only one. The only other one I pulled up that said Ozette Lake Trail was in Montana. I opened it and realized it was Montana.
So maybe
this is a loop.
Maybe the locals call that the loop.
Yeah, because it is a loop. It's shaped like a triangle, but a loop means you can go You don't have to backtrack. You
Yeah,
go
you go
one
all the
way
way
the
around.
whole way.
So, she, like I said, she said he may have decided to check out other hiking areas before trying out the Ozette Loop Trail. There are trails to Siku and there are trails to Knee Bay. So she also went on to say he may have gone to Knee Bay and outside that little cove where we had the accident just to see it. She also said that he didn't plan to disappear. People have said that to me, and there's no way he wouldn't do that. He was a very happy guy. So family doesn't think, jumping right into theories quickly on this one, there's not a lot to go off of, but family doesn't seem to think it's suicide. And there was nothing in the research to indicate that he was having financial troubles or, any kinds of issues. He seemed like just a pretty happy retired guy that liked to hike and go on cruises with his wife.
Okay.
I think the problem that we might have with this case is he may not be in the area that they're searching. He may have parked at that ranger station, but decided to hike in other spots, which he very well might have injured himself, but just somewhere else where searchers weren't looking, and they only did a 3-day search. So
yeah, here's Knee Bay is way up here. So here's the lake.
Yeah.
Where the trails are. So he would have had to leave and go here. So I mean, that's real far away.
Yeah.
From the lake. If we're going to let's do As the Crow Flies again on Google Maps. Like if he left his car and decided, I'm going to hike all the way up there, what would it be? Okay, not terrible. It looks bigger on the map. 15 miles.
Yeah, I mean, if you went straight shot, which it isn't. But
yeah, but I'm saying like if that was like 50 or, obviously it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think with this case, I think something happened to him. He got injured, but he wasn't in the location that they thought he was in.
So why do you think that?
I think, like the family said, he kind of was an explorer maybe, and he got there and he's like, you know what, I want to hike. I'm going to be here a few days. I'm going to hike something else first. And
okay, like planned on doing something, then got there,
he told
maybe
his wife
looked at
he was
it and
gonna,
changed his mind?
Yeah, he told his wife he was going to do the loop trail, but then when he got there, he's a photographer.
Okay.
So, and like she said, he might have gone to that other spot to see it. I don't know what.
So, Mike, what does this
accident.
make you think of as the hints that we always talk about?
Plan, have an itinerary and, tell.
And stick to it.
Stick to it, even check in with the rangers and let them know, if you have a permit, they should know.
And the reality is, because we're also the type of people that will go off and do a thing, but I'll typically tell somebody if there's an area that I might explore. Mm-hmm. So the idea is if we're doing like when we did, what am I thinking of? Glacier National Park.
Yeah.
So we were camping at the 50 Mountain campsite in backcountry, but on the itinerary, we even told the rangers we might go summit some peak, like a day hike from, because we were staying at 50 Mountain 2 nights. We said, these are some of the areas we're planning to go look at. We told them like 3 or 4 areas, and we did go to one of them. So the minimum is, okay, these guys went missing. Here's how many days.
Yeah.
We can check the whole trail. And then they also said they might check out these areas. That gives them very, very good information to start from that they can send people to.
I mean, unfortunately, in this case, they aren't even sure that he got on the loop trail that he originally told his wife, because there was no evidence that he actually, they have his car there.
So just his car is parked there, but
according to family, there's several trails he could have gone off on from that area other than the loop trail.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out of that lake outside of just that triangle loop.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah, unfortunately, his remains have not been found. Like I said, a boot was found, but that didn't lead to any other discoveries. So it's been 10 years now.
Did they say where the boot was found?
Let's see here.
So I feel like that's pretty dang relevant.
They didn't mention where it says one of his boots was found by a hiker on the trail he went missing on and was turned into authorities. But this was a year after the search. And from what I gathered, they didn't reopen the search after the boot was found. So,
all right. Well, to me, that would narrow it down to a trail. And if that was the Ozette Loop Trail, well,
yeah, unfortunately,
why would he lose his boot? And why would you lose your? Yeah, that's weird. And they know it was his.
The problem with these cases in these cold case episodes is there's not a lot of information.
That's why, and that's the funny thing, because these are the ones that people get mad at us on. It's like, sorry, dude. If there wasn't stuff there, and I know you like checked this one because it was Kim's first one, you put some time into it and really spruced it up a bit. So,
so,
now we can start blaming Kim.
No, we would never blame Kim Turn.
Would we? Would we?
We're
shutting your show down. It was the Kim Turn.
We have another intern named Bob that we'll blame everything on.
Bob Turn?
Bob Turn.
That doesn't flow. We can't.
No. Bob doesn't exist.
We can only have interns that have an IM in the end of their name.
Okay. All right.
So we can get a Jim turn.
A Jim Turn.
Yeah.
There we go. I like it. A Kim Turn and a Jim Turn.
Yes.
Okay, so we're moving on to case number 2. Our next subject is John Devine. He went missing on September 7th of 1997. His remains have not been found. He was a male. At the time of his disappearance, he was 73 years old. He clothing and gear he was last seen, and I think this will definitely factor into my theories about his disappearance, but he only had snack bars on him, no other listed gear. So obviously like clothing and snack bars. So unprepared for what he was going to do. So he was legally blind in one eye. So that was the medical condition that I found in the research. But personality-wise, he was described as very athletic and an avid hiker. So he was retired. We don't have much, a lot of other information about his occupation or hobby. His experience in this location, though, was extensive. He had hiked long distances by himself in the Olympics before. So he's gone on day hikes, long distance hikes in this area. So he's hiked it before, knows what to do. So that's really all we know about him as a person. Going right into the timeline. So it's Friday, September 5th of 1997. Devine enters the park to hike Mount Baldy using the very steep Maynard Burn Trail. So Maynard. Maynard.
So
here's Mount Baldy.
Here's Mount Baldy if you are checking out this stream.
So he was planning to hike this with just snack bars.
So you said he was at the Maynard trailhead?
He was at the Maynard Burn Trail. Or that was the trail he was going to use to go up to Mount Baldy.
I don't know why I don't leave all trails open. I'm just going to do that.
So that night on Friday, he camped with a friend near Mount Baldy area just outside the park boundary in the Buckhorn Wilderness area of Olympic National Forest. Weather conditions at the time were said to be cold and blustery. So this is September now. And like we said in the location profile, the weather can be, it's pretty temperate, but it can also be kind of, cold and miserable at times too, rainy, and you found the trail.
Yeah, the trail's 9.9 miles, 4,000 foot elevation gain. It is a loop.
Yeah.
So if you're an avid hiker, I could see you doing that with just some bars.
Yeah.
Let's see what some of the comments say. This is why I love All Trails, because it will give you, I'll have to log in with my name because I actually pay for premium.
Yeah.
I love it. But they give you trail times. I'm going to see if I can find that on here while you're going through.
Okay, so we are now moving to Saturday, September 6th of 1997. It's the afternoon. He was last seen on the afternoon of September 6th while hiking along Gray Wolf Ridge on the park's north side. When he failed to show up at camp after his hike, family notified the authorities that he was missing. This is now Saturday night. Park spokeswoman Barb Maines, our friend Barb Maines, said Devine, a healthy and experienced hiker, was carrying snack bars but didn't have any other gear or food. So,
he had literally snack bars, like not even a backpack.
It doesn't sound like
it says no other gear or food. So
yeah, nothing.
Like a couple snack bars in his pocket.
Yeah, it didn't even sound like he had a day pack. It is now Sunday, September 7th of 1997. Personnel from the National Park, Clallam, and Jefferson counties search and rescue teams and the Civil Air Patrol were looking for John Devine. 10 searchers looked for him on Sunday. On Monday, September 8th of 1997, an additional 10 searchers, along with 4 search dogs, joined the effort, park officials said that Monday. By Friday, so this is a pretty sad case. I read this when I was kind of reviewing the notes, but I forgot about it just now. So a really sad thing happened Friday, September 12th during this search. So by this time on Friday, there were 5 different helicopters that were in the area searching for Devine. Around 4 p.m., one of the helicopters, a Bell 205A1, contracted by the Park Service, went down at the head of Slide Creek, which drains Mount Baldy off the north side in the Buckhorn Wilderness area of Olympic National Forest.
Oh, geez.
At the time of the crash, weather conditions had deteriorated as snow and cold swept through the mountain areas. There was actually an emergency medical technician on the ground near the crash scene when the helicopter went down, which she tended to the victims and radioed for help. The helicopter was owned by Eugene, Oregon company Helijet Corp. And was carrying a pilot and 7 passengers. The park spokesman said that 3 people aboard the helicopter were killed, and which is a number confirmed by the county search and rescue officials. Two additional people on the helicopter were seriously injured and were flown to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. A man in his 20s was in serious condition with facial and leg injuries, and a 24-year-old woman was in satisfactory condition with leg cuts and other leg injuries. A 32-year-old woman and 2 men, both in their 20s, were taken to Olympic Memorial Hospital in Port Angeles. All were conscious and not seriously injured, and were released after their injuries were tended to. Killed in the crash was Kevin Johnston, 35. He was the pilot from Springfield, Oregon, a former flight instructor with an 18-month-old daughter.
Oh, jeez.
Rita McHone, 52, of Aberdeen, a search volunteer who trained dogs to help with rescue missions, and Taryn Hoover, 31, of Waldron, San Juan County, a seasonal park employee who, besides helping with searches, worked in a spotted owl survey in the park. So, very sad incident involving, a crash of a search helicopter, which is pretty rare. We've seen it in other episodes that we've done, other cases.
Yeah.
But it's not something that happens very often, and it's incredibly sad when it does.
Yeah, it's really tragic.
Barb Maines, the spokesperson for Olympic National Park, said the chopper fell shortly after taking off from the mountainside. So they had mountainside areas set up that the helicopters could land to, drop off searchers to help with the search. They also reported that the pilot made no report of trouble before the crash. The impact was heard by other searchers in the area, including emergency medical technician that I mentioned helped with the victims. So a little bit about the helicopter that went down. The modified Bell 205A1 had been owned by Helijet for 6 years. Helijet provides aircraft for search and rescues and forest fire missions, as well as remote construction work for charter flights. Johnson, the pilot that died, had flown all of these kinds of missions in the past. The Bell 205 was out of production for more than a decade. It's the modern civilian version of the Bell Huey, which came into prominence during the Vietnam War. The helicopter was designed as a medical transport craft built to hold a pilot, medical attendant, and 12 to 14 troops. However, the 21-year-old Helijet company had the aircraft retrofitted, so it's unclear how many people it could have safely carried before the crash. The refurbishing included installing a larger engine and rotor system to provide better performance at higher altitudes. So,
are they saying that maybe retrofitting it didn't work out, or they because it's retrofitted, they just couldn't really ascertain what caused it?
Yeah, I think what they were saying, because it sounds like the original stock version of the helicopter could carry a lot of people, way more than that were on board. But due to the retrofitting of whatever they did to the helicopter, they were unsure what its actual capacity was. So they're not sure if that's what caused it to crash, or if I'm sure I couldn't find any reports on the actual crash of the helicopter, so I don't know what brought down. But before I jump back in the timeline, my theories on the helicopter were probably based on the deteriorating weather conditions, and it's a mountainous environment, that maybe something happened weather-wise, because it went down right after they took off. So potentially maybe some kind of, wind gust or something caused the pilot to lose control, but I'm just speculating. So like I said, very sad occurrence during this search. So now it is Saturday, September 13th of 1997. A dozen searchers continued to comb the Mueller Creek area looking for John, but they were brought out before dark. Jason Berry, 23, in his second year as the Park Service volunteer, said it's steep and rugged. The bushes are super thick, and it's tough to walk down the drainages.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
I put on my premium version of All Trails. It does a little.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We just upped our game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's doing the distance and elevation gain to get up there. So that's in 5 miles, there's 3,900 feet of elevation gain.
Yeah.
That's pretty aggressive.
A
A lot of the comments were saying no matter which way you go on this thing, it's just steep. There's
Yeah.
like not an easy way.
Okay, so tough trail. So I've got theories on this one. Sergeant Don Kelly of the County Sheriff's Office, which coordinated the search with the National Park Service, said, if he was walking around up there, we would have found him by now. And if he had fallen down and hurt himself, he probably wouldn't be alive. So without any evidence or clue in the search, and because of the horrific events of the downed helicopter, they called off the search. And I believe the Saturday, September 13th of 1997. So absolutely no evidence of Devine has been found since, and he wasn't really carrying any gear with him, so there wasn't much to look for. So quickly before we get into the third case, what are your rapid fire theories on this one? I think his lack of gear is a major factor.
I think it's a mix of. It's a really difficult trail, and from what it looked like, I'm going to back out a little bit here. Let's see what some of the people are saying. These are all now conditions. Oh, they even have mosquito activity. I mean, they're all talking about how the trail is awesome. They're rating it high, but they're saying, like, literally, it sucks. It's a killer on cardio on the way up. No matter which direction you go, it's pretty steep. So apparently it's an awesome trail, but it is difficult.
Yeah.
Did it say what time of the year he went?
September.
Okay, so a couple months. They're saying conditions in November 2021. Actually, yeah, so he's in 97. I wonder if I can go back to 97.
Was All Trails even around then?
I think so. We've done this before where we've had more recent ones. Oh, no, it wasn't. I'm thinking of, okay, I'm like 17, I'm thinking of. Yeah, 97.
Yeah, 97. I mean,
I don't know.
Internet was just around.
Yeah, but they're saying it was, look at icy snow, great. Lots of 5 stars, but also talking about how difficult it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 50 reviews, 4.6 it's rated. I feel like... I'll pop open some of the photos.
Well,
I feel like, the trail's pretty easy to see.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing he went off trail for a reason, maybe got injured, and just didn't have the gear. I think that's the most reasonable one because, look at these. Even in the forested areas, you can really see the trail pretty well.
I think I'm kind of on your train of thought there. My only thought was he was woefully unprepared for this hike.
Yeah. What? Remind me again, what was his experience in this area?
Very experienced.
Okay, so it could have been one of those, like we say, if you do it a lot, you might become complacent.
They said he had hiked many long distance hikes in the Olympics by himself in the past, so he's done this before. But my only concern was that it was the weather conditions on Friday, September 5th, were described as cold and blustery, and then during the search, the weather was described. I'm trying to go back to my notes and find out where the weather conditions were deteriorating as snow and cold were sweeping in through the mountains. So let's just assume that the weather between Friday, the night he was camping, when his friend was camping with him, to when he started hiking to when the search was going on, was deteriorating. It was getting worse by the day. He had no gear with him, no food, no water. My guess is he succumbed to the elements, exposure. Maybe he got up there and the weather really moved in. And if you go back to Google Maps and look at the top of Mount Baldy, it didn't look like there was a lot of cover.
Yeah, it was very exposed. Even when looking at the pictures, it was. So if I'm just pulling up people's times.
Yeah.
This person did it in 6 hours and 2 minutes. And you can see this is actually their trail, how they hiked it. So this is actually really neat. You can kind of see how long it took. Let's see this lady. Let's see what she did it in. 5.5 hours. There was one that was like 12 hours, but you could tell they kind of sat around.
I think if if like you leave in the morning, you have gear with you, and the conditions are good, you could easily do this in a day.
Yeah, 7 hours. So he was probably assuming it was going to be a day hike.
Yeah.
Oh, this is neat. This is this person's pictures along the way. So let's look at the peak area exposure. This person's picture.
I mean, you're totally exposed.
Totally exposed. You can see trail though.
Yeah.
And look at how far away you can see it.
But
so
we've been hiking in the mountains.
Here's a person right there.
Weather comes in and you can't see the trail. Even trail like that, you're not going to be able to see.
If it's snowing, yes. But I mean, if you look down, you're seeing it. It's not the greatest, but I've been in ones where it's just scree. There isn't. Yeah. You got to find cairns. And
my guess is he got up there and weather moved in, and without having the proper gear, he panicked or something and fell. Or I mean, looking at those pictures, you could injure yourself.
Yeah,
going off trail.
I agree with that. I think
maybe he got up there and the weather got bad, and he's like, I'm gonna instead of taking the trail back down, I'm gonna cut down on my own.
Yeah,
and
here's 8.5 hours. So yeah, people are. I mean, the fastest I saw was 6 hours. Longest was 12.
Yeah.
So you can do this in a day. 12's a lot. That's a half a day. You got to get up early if you need to get back before nightfall.
And that's you're moving.
Yeah.
You're not stopping to like smell the flowers.
Well, no, actually, in that one if you're taking that long, I think that was this first one I looked at. Let's see here. Moving time 6.5 hours. Total time 9. So that's like you can see how much they.
Average pace, it says.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to find the big one. Average pace, 39-minute mile.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mind you, that's going up like some pretty gnarly elevation.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just flat ground.
Yeah, this person. Oh, they didn't do this. They didn't go to Mount Baldy, so they cut off a bunch of time. The loop. Yeah, they just did the loop. So it was 5.5 hours. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think he just potentially got lost. I like your idea of weather came in.
Yeah, based on just the weather reports we have. Yeah. So yeah, I think unprepared, unfortunately, and he got up there. Weather moved in quick, which happens all the time in the mountains, and he just wasn't prepared for that and succumbed to the elements. So I will move on to the third case, and while I'm doing that, Joe, you should turn our live sign on.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Sorry.
I've just been staring at that. And, there we go. Now we're live.
We weren't live before. Now we are. We got to start the whole thing over.
All right. Okay, so our first case. No, I'm kidding. Okay, our final case of this episode is a gentleman by the name of James Griffin. He went missing December 24th of 2014. Remains have been found. Gender, he was male. He was age 60 at the time of his disappearance. He had brown and gray hair that he pulled back into a ponytail, sideburns, and a goatee. He had brown eyes. We do not know the clothing or gear that he was last seen in, unfortunately. Personality, he was single, lived alone. He was retired, but an avid hiker. He... medical issues. In the past, he had a leg injury that slowed him down while hiking. Experience in the wilderness. He was a frequent visitor of all trails and reported as an avid hiker. So very, experienced in this location. Again, all three of these individuals knew the area and have hiked it in the past. So sometimes, there's cases where the subjects are new to the location, which could have factored in, but all three of these individuals knew the area. So adds a little mystery to it.
Yeah.
So this timeline starts December 22nd at 2014 around 4 p.m. It's a Monday. James was day hiking in Olympic National Park and was last seen by other hikers at Olympic Hot Springs around 4 p.m. The weather conditions... Now, this is interesting. All three cases, we've had weather conditions, which is actually one of the facts we usually don't have. So, I don't know why. It's just interesting that some of these shorter cases are very lacking of information, yet we've had weather reports. So,
well, that's easy info to get.
yeah, but we never, a lot of times we don't have it. So,
Yeah.
The weather at the time he was hiking was rainy and in the mid 30s. Like I said, this was December 22nd and 23rd. So December 24th of 2014, which is a Wednesday, he was reported missing when he failed to show up for a Christmas Eve dinner that he had planned with friends. Park officials were told that Griffin often hiked the 2.5-mile trail to the hot springs and knew the trail well, but made slow progress due to his earlier leg injury. The search actually kicked off not long after he was reported missing. 3 rescuers searched Wednesday night beginning at about 10 p.m. and spent the night in the field before looking for Griffin all day Thursday. And you know what? You really got to tip your hat to these searchers. It's right around Christmas, and you can imagine they'd probably rather be at home with their families, but they're literally spending a night out in the park in rainy, freezing cold weather trying to find this guy. So
yeah, they take their job real seriously. I think that's good for them.
So just a tip of the hat to the rescuers that were out there searching for him. So it is now December 25th, 2014, Thursday. We get a break in the case. So 2 teams of searchers joined the effort that around noon on Thursday. James's day pack was found about half a mile from the trailhead of the Boulder Creek hiking trail in the Olympic Peninsula's Elwha Valley and 50 feet off the trail itself. The pack was leaning against a log, looking like items had been removed, and contained his camera, stove, food, water, snacks, and fire starters. So I lied. We do know the gear he was in. So it sounds like he was prepared to be out there.
Yeah.
Hiking in these conditions. He had a stove, he had water, snacks, fire starters, very important. A towel was lying on the pack, and a nearby log had a Coke can and a plastic coffee mug, as well as an unfinished bag of prepared freeze-dried food that had been resealed. Park officials did make a note that there was no signs of struggle in the area around where his pack was found. So that is an interesting discovery. It sounds like he had sat down for maybe some lunch or dinner or some food. He had all his stuff out. He was getting ready to cook. So very interesting. You got to wonder, we'll get into theories, but got to wonder what causes someone to get all their stuff out and then walk away. So,
yeah.
It is now December 26th of 2014.
I wonder if he went to go get water.
Maybe. But they said there was water in his pack that was found.
Yeah, because you need it for freeze-dried food.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe if
we'll get into theories.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
So
I can't find it on all trails. When I look up the hot spring, it's like a 20-mile trail.
Okay.
So I'm gonna zoom in.
Can you
on
find the Boulder Creek hiking trail?
I look for that too, and there's one in Washington, but it's up by Glacier. It's not in Olympic.
Glacier.
Yeah, because the edge of Glacier is right in Washington. So let me show the screen. So yeah, here's.
Just go to Google and just search Boulder Creek hiking trail.
Yeah. Oh, that's like a city. I'm dumb. Oh yeah, Glacier's a little bit farther to the east here in Montana.
State.
Yeah, you usually go through Idaho. You know what? Because I knew it was next to that area, and Glacier National Park does go into Idaho, and it might even go into Washington a little bit, but on the other side.
Yeah,
that's where I'm just. Yeah, I don't think it goes there. I'm just full of it.
Okay.
So sorry, everybody. Yep, Glacier's right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
Well,
I thought it. Oh, it goes into Canada. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I know it went somewhere else.
So we got screwed up by that when we hiked it.
Yeah, we did.
We forgot our passports.
We didn't bring our passports, and the trail we went to goes into Canada and comes back out, and they're like, "Sorry, you got to go backwards now," and it was harder.
Yeah. So I don't know. Keep trying. I guess the trails must be there.
Yeah, I'll figure it out, and then I'll go back to the screen. So you keep talking.
So, like I said, there was no sign of a struggle in the area where his pack was found. So now it's December 26th of 2014, and in the second full day of searching, 10. Oh, there we go.
Yep, it's a 4.8 mile trail. I'll go to the National Park Service. We'll show that one. Boulder Creek Trail. Let's
So
see.
it does exist.
From that point, let's see, due to significant flood damage, LY areas closed, vehicle access, Madison Falls parking area. From that point, it's 7.9 miles to the Boulder Creek Trailhead. Oh, wow. So right now, because of road damage and flood damage, you have to hike 7.9 miles to the trailhead.
Okay. So,
Wow.
yikes. So, all right.
I mean, that's now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he couldn't have got there before. So here we go.
It's a good map.
I'll zoom in a little bit here.
So he was trying, I don't know if you see anywhere.
Too far.
The hot springs. What
see
was
if
that
let's see if
trail?
it shows
Olympic
it on-
Hot Springs.
Let's go a little slower here.
For those of you listening, we're looking at a Park Service map
Yeah,
of the area.
let's see here. There's Trailhead. What did they say it was only a couple miles to the hot springs? Like 2 miles?
Let me check here. Park officials were told that Griffin often hiked the 2.5 mile trail to the
2.5.
hot springs.
Yeah, they don't have that specifically in here.
Well-
But from the trailhead to the Altair picnic area, which is now closed right now, it's 2.3 miles. So it's a little bit past that.
Oh, Boulder Hot Springs Trailhead. Olympic, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to say, yeah, I knew that. What I'm trying to figure out is where the hot springs are.
Yeah.
So here's the Altair picnic campground. So it's got to be somewhere around here.
Yeah.
If they said 2.5 miles.
So, all right. Well, we'll
that's
get
fine.
Yeah. So,
I lied. Olympic Boulder Hot Springs Trailhead. Oh, it's not even on this map. To Olympic Boulder Hot Springs.
2.5 miles.
Okay, so I'm
2.4.
starting to see what he did here. He entered it through this area and then went over here
Okay.
and then went that way.
And then his gear was found, like I said, sorry, I've lost my spot.
Amateur hour.
His day pack was found about a half a mile from the trailhead of the Boulder Creek hiking trail and 50 feet off the trail itself. So wherever the trailhead is to Boulder Creek.
Did it? Help me remember. Did it say he had a tent? Like, do you think
No.
maybe he was going off trail to set up a tent?
No, it didn't say he had a tent in the list of gear that was found in the backpack, but
I pulled it off the screen. So
okay.
So we'll move on.
We'll move on.
We'll bore the
lingering,
listeners
yes.
that aren't watching.
So like I said, December 26, 2014, it's now Friday. In the second full day of searching, 10 rescuers from the park and Olympic Mountain Rescue were aided by the State Department of Emergency Management search dogs and their handlers. Joining in the search was James' own dog, Bud, which is kind of cool. Park spokeswoman Ray said, searchers will continue scouring the rugged, steep terrain Saturday, remaining in the general area for the time being. 2 of the search dogs and their handlers will return Saturday, though Bud will not be back. Little Bud didn't prove to be too helpful.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Not
he's not
trained.
trained in like the cone
It probably
method
just
of scent tracking
created
and stuff. Yeah.
More problems.
I mean, it's good shot because there's been so many stories of like a dog that will, like sense its owner's gone missing and go
Yeah.
for it. Like you hear stories, so it's a good idea. I think you try
Well,
it.
Even
and
with when I've
can't hurt.
gone bird hunting up north in Wisconsin, you'll walk, you could walk all day into the woods and
Sure.
take different trails. But then when you head back to the truck, the dog knows the way back. The dog will run ahead on the trail because it can smell the scent.
oh yeah,
So maybe they were trying to it was a shot. I mean, and they
I think it was a good shot. I
Yeah.
think it was definitely
You
worth
try
the
everything.
Shot, so absolutely, 100%.
Okay, so Ray said the park's average search protocol calls for at least 7 complete days of searching for missing hikers, but that could change. She said searchers are concentrating their efforts on the area where Griffin's backpack was found and a nearby waterfall, a photo of which was on the camera and had a date stamp of June 29th. So we are now on December 28th of 2014. It's Sunday. This is when the search was called off. So friends and family members were part of the search, she said, and were in close contact with the park when the decision was made to suspend the search Sunday evening. In all, the effort included more than 20 trained search and rescue team members, search dogs, and a group of Griffin's friends. Over Saturday and Sunday, searchers set up a 700-foot radius search around the site of the backpack and climbed down towards Cougar Creek and Boulder Creek, 2 steep drainages nearby. The slope near Boulder Creek ends in a cliff dropping into the creek itself, which park officials said cannot be searched because the terrain is too dangerous and the water at the time was too high. So that's when the official search ended. So we actually have a big break in the case, almost a year to the day in the future. So it's January 25th of 2015. So like we said, despite a week-long search, no clues were found of him until January 25th, when James' body was finally recovered about a third of a mile and nearby a 1,000-foot vertical. It was found. Sorry, let me go through this again.
I like how you made me like go through all these theories, and I didn't know there was a body.
Oh, I said remains were found.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I'm doing all the driving here. I got lots of buttons I'm pressing.
His body was found about a third of a mile from where his backpack was found, but 1,000 feet up.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we'll get into that. According to park officials,
do they have a name of the location? Like, do they have a mountain name or anything?
No, but it was in the area where his pack was found. So,
all right, and that was at the trailhead.
It was 50 feet off the trail, about a half a mile in from the trailhead.
Okay.
So, according to park officials, it appeared Griffin had stepped off the trail to prepare a snack, but at some point became confused and lost and could not find the trail again. Spokesperson Barb Maines said there is nothing to suggest anything other than someone who lost his location and couldn't find his backpack again, where he stepped off trail and became lost and confused. As to why he climbed the steep hill where his body was found, Maines said, if it's dark and you can't see anything, it's easier to walk uphill. You're more in control. They actually performed...
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what I would have thought. But so they did an autopsy on him. And the county forensic pathologist, Dr. Eric Keisel, issued an autopsy report that indicated that James had died from hypothermia. His brother Robert said in an interview that the result was really odd. It's just one of those things that happened, and nobody will ever know what the reasons were for him to go up the hill. So a couple of remaining questions on this peculiar case is what happened to him. Why did he leave his pack and food just off the trail and climb 1,000 feet up a steep hillside? Did something or someone scare James so much that he dropped his pack and food and hurried away as fast as he could? Mm-hmm. If he had an old leg injury, climbing the steep slope, which was 1,000 feet high in pitch black, would have been very difficult, and just leaves the question, why would he do that? And also, if he knew the area quite well, why wouldn't he just walk out the way he came? So investigators just say that he got lost and confused on his way back to the car in the dark, yet many have said the trails are well marked. And finally, the autopsy confirmed that there were no drugs or alcohol in his system at the time. So what are your theories?
I feel like maybe he got hypothermia and climbed the hill.
Oh, just because
like
he was
the
confused.
Early phase, yeah, confusion and just kind of, and I only think that mainly because I've seen it happen.
Yeah,
to somebody start making very odd, dumb decisions because they're in the early stages of hypothermia. So yeah, maybe he went off the trail to prepare a snack. Maybe he went off trail to prepare a snack because he felt like something was off.
Yeah,
and if he was ill prepared, didn't have all the right stuff. Maybe he had clothes, but it was already kind of too late. He didn't think to put them on.
Yeah,
and I don't think you can do. I think at that point, again, this is my theory.
Yeah.
If it's true, there's no reasoning. So I wouldn't even say there is a reason he even thought to go up the hill. I think people just do.
He just did it because he wasn't thinking clearly.
Yeah, it's just he just started like autonomously doing a thing, like almost like an NPC, just kind of roaming around. Like there is no reason that he did it, and then he climbed. How old was he at the time? He was older,
60.
So yeah, you're putting a lot of strain on your body. 1,000 feet up the side of a hill, like that's a lot of work, especially for someone that age. And now he hiked a lot, so I'm sure it wasn't too big of a deal.
For those non-gaming people out there, an NPC is a non-player character.
Oh yeah, so that's sorry for that. So that somebody like if you're playing a game, there's people that are there to add to the game itself, but they just kind of walk in squares. You know,
Yeah.
they're not doing anything.
They're like automated.
Yeah, so I looked at it like that, and I think of that because that's what my buddy, when he had it happen, that's what he
Yeah.
looked like. His eyes were glazed over. You could tell there was nothing behind it. He was like kind of empty in his
He was
brain.
on autopilot.
100%. You'd ask him questions, and he's like, I'm going to the car to get clothes. And I'm like, that's a day away, and you're soaking wet, and it's
Yeah.
almost nightfall. And like, it just over the top of his head, just had no reason to do it.
Yeah.
So I think
I think this case, very confident in your theory. I think he was an experienced hiker. He's done this
Yes.
many times before.
it doesn't mean it can't
No, and
befall. Maybe he got wet.
yeah, and that's why I think if he was in a normal state of mind with his bad leg, there's no way he would go up 1,000 feet.
Yeah, there's no reason to do it off trail.
Why?
Well, okay. Did it say he was a photographer, or was that the last one?
That was the last guy. This guy didn't mention.
So, okay,
he might
so
have
like
been,
he
but
wouldn't climb up there to get a picture.
No.
No. Okay.
And he's done this. He's been here many, many times. He had pictures of the location from June on his camera. So it's not like, he's never seen it before and he wanted to get the perfect shot. He comes here all the time. So I think you're right. I think he got cold. The autopsy said he died of hypothermia.
That's partially why I'm like, okay, we have an autopsy report and they are able to determine through forensics that this is the cause of death.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the cause of death. Why did he get hypothermia? I think that's really what we want to do here is let's go with that and say it was hypothermia. Then he climbed up a hill for some reason and he passed away up there.
Underestimated the weather conditions at the time. And probably didn't have the proper gear. I mean, it's December.
Yep, that's fair.
It was in the 30s. It was cold and rainy. For whatever reason, he maybe underestimated the conditions. Yeah, and like you said, he got hypothermia. He started making irrational decisions, and for whatever reason, went up 1,000 feet, which is why the searchers didn't find him, because they're probably logically thinking like, all right, there's no way he's going up. He has a bum knee.
Yeah, if you're injured, you go downhill.
They only have so many
stay
searchers. There. And they're thinking the most logically, but you can't always think that way if someone has hypothermia.
Nope, totally agree.
Yeah, so sadly, at least the family has closure.
Yeah, I think they found him and they have an idea of what happened.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make it better, but
No.
we've had the fortunate ability to speak with a lot of families who are directly involved with the cases, and the overwhelming responses of the people who found the body, they're grateful they have closure. They're grateful they found the body. The ones that did not are distraught, and they say, I just wish we knew where he was. I wish we could bring him home.
They don't know if they're still alive or if they were, kidnapped or
the unknown is scarier than the bad news. Just getting that closure.
Like, it's still terrible to think a loved one died from hypothermia, but at least you know what happened.
Yes,
you don't have that mystery the rest of your life.
Yeah,
so
it's got to be agonizing.
Yeah.
So, yep, they know where he is. They kind of know what happened. So that's definitely better than not. But
yeah,
I think that's what it is. That'd be my biggest guess.
I'm not 100% confident, but very confident that that's what happened to him. Well, on that cheery note, anything else?
No, we want to thank all of you for tuning into our show. We appreciate all of you for listening and sharing locations known with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube, where you can find the videos of each episode. We have this awesome new feature where we did like a fly-through hike of one of the trails. I'm going to start trying to do that on all of them because that was neat. Also, if you would like to support the show monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some sweet, sweet swag. And additionally, you can subscribe to our Patron account. You can subscribe on YouTube and also on Apple, where you will have access to special events, additional shows for paid customers only, like where we tell the story about what happened to us in Zion National Park right after this. And lastly, when you're enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.